Okay. Hi, welcome to the newest episode of Sports Talk Central. I'm your host, Deep Mahmood. This is my normal co-host, Hunter. And today we're going to be talking about some smaller topics because there's not really a ton to talk about. Talking about a Manning committing and seeing what that means. Some NHL playoff news, some baseball news, and everything, and some NFL news uh, as well as taking apart, talking about the best fan bases by city. But unfortunately, we do have to start this show by I'm sending my thoughts and prayers to the family of Jaylon Ferguson and Tony Siragusa. Two
I'd
lives
say that
lost
too.
way too soon. I mean, what are your thoughts on their career and their life?
Yeah. I mean, that's just not. It wasn't even just the city of Baltimore that got hit. I think it was just the entire NFL community that really just got screwed. I always loved listening to Tony on Fox. He was always had that great presence when he was on the field giving his analysis. Um, he was very good at his job, and he was obviously a great player for many years with the Ravens. One of the best players on that vaunted 2000 defense. Ferguson, it looked like he was just starting to come into his own as well. Life stinks, and it's really unfortunate that both lost their lives way too soon. And I'm also sending my thoughts and prayers to them as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Ferguson was about to break out, but that's not obviously the story. The story really is that you have a fiance
Yeah,
lost who lost the love of her life. You have three kids that under the age of 5 that lost their dad. But so I mean, and then you have a mother who lost her son, her dad. Like you have an entire family who is hurting emotionally right now. So I mean,
Mhm.
and this guy was one of the nicest guys out there. Like this guy, when he was drafted, he was um he was actually helping out in Louisiana. He wasn't throwing a party. He was like just helping out because I believe there was like a hurricane in Louisiana around that time in run 2019. So he was doing some help there. He was helping the community. So it is a life lost too soon. I mean, Tony Siragusa, larger than life personality. He definitely was a great player, great announcer, and pretty good actor as well. I mean, so this guy was going to have a good second career, third career. I mean, and he's a guy that he's not a lot of that a lot of people bring up as like a main one of those main people on the defensive players staff on the Ravens, like from an outsider's perspective. But he's one of those guys that really helped the Ravens win. And it's a life lost too soon. Thoughts and prayers go out to their families. So we're going to talk more about and then we're going to talk another thing off the top. Um, what was it? Oh yeah, today is because we do talk a lot about Virginia Tech, and so this is a Virginia Tech Connection show off the top. Steph Curry's dad's birthday, Del Curry, is today. So for those who don't know the connection between Del Curry, well, before we do that, we do have breaking news. The Houston Astros just completed a no hitter against the Yankees.
That's funny. Right after what happened with the Aaron Judge walk off, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so it was a three pitcher no hitter. Um, yeah, it was a three pitcher no hitter. Christian Javier goes 7 innings, one walk, 13 strikeouts. Hector Neris goes 1 inning, two walks, no strikeouts. And then Ryan Presley gets the save, two strikeouts. So that's definitely a lot. That's so that's something really interesting there to watch. Uh, but yeah, going back to what I was going through is with Steph Curry's dad. We're going to talk about Steph Curry later on, but Del Curry. For those who don't know, Del Curry, I believe Steph's mom, Del Curry, and Steph's mom were both at Virginia Tech. I believe his mom was like a volleyball player. His dad was like basketball. I know his dad played basketball, and his dad was a baseball player as well. Del Curry also played. He has his number retired. So there's your Virginia Tech connection right there. So obviously there's that. But let's talk about some college football stuff. Arch Manning, the nephew of Peyton and Eli, the son of Cooper. he committed to
Hook 'em.
Texas.
Hook
What were
'em.
your thoughts on this and in
Is
general?
is is, te- is Texas back? That's the big question we have to be asking ourselves. I mean, that's a big commitment for them. This is a program that's been middling, I should say, for the greater part of the last, you want to say last decade, I think is fair to
Yeah,
say. Probably
probably
longer than
Vince
that.
Young. Yeah, Vince Young was
Yeah,
probably
since
the last time they were
Texas
relevant.
has, they've been fine a few years, but you know, they just haven't been the same program. And Manning, I think his future is probably in the NFL at some point, especially if he has a good college career. Thoughts and prayers go out there to Quinn Ewers after he committed to Texas on that massive NIL deal. I don't think he's going to be getting a lot of playing time once Manning is ready to go. So,
Wasn't he at Ohio State and then goes to Texas?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and he didn't really get any playing time at Ohio State because C.J. Stroud took it all, and rightfully so. He's outstanding. But that's a home run for Texas. They beat out Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss. I'm sure there are
It's
some
weird
UVA
because
fans that thought they had.
considering Ole Miss and Eli Manning and Cooper Manning, and also Cooper Manning as well, because Cooper
Yeah,
went to Ole Miss as well. He was a wide receiver, but
beat
yeah,
out Tennessee because of the connection there. Um, maybe there were some UVA fans who thought there was a 1% chance because he gave
and
him a courtesy visit. Yeah, no, not going to happen. But that's still it's great for Texas. This is a football program that needs to be a lot better than what they've been for the last decade. That's for sure.
yeah, and I think one of the things it was really weird at first when he committed to Texas, because when you think about it, Peyton went to Tennessee, right? Uh, Eli went to Ole Miss. Cooper went to Ole Miss. I forgot where Archie went to, but they're very much an SEC family. Like that's basically Manning's. And the fact that you're right, like he didn't go to Georgia, didn't go to Alabama, he chose not to go to Ole Miss, and then he didn't go to Tennessee, which kind of shows like, well, why is he going? Why is he not continuing? But then you think about Texas might join the SEC in a couple years from now, so it is definitely interesting. And I wonder though, do you think that if Texas was not going to be joining the SEC in the next few years, that Arch Manning would have chosen a place like Georgia or a place like Tennessee or Ole Miss, where he was going to get playing time, and he was going to be nationally advertised?
That's a good question. I still feel like even if they win, I mean, the Big 12 is a decent conference. I know it's not the SEC. No one is the SEC, but you would sort of have the Red River rivalry. Oklahoma State is usually good under Mike Gundy. Texas Tech is not bad, I should say. Baylor is always good. So he would have an opportunity to play in some high stakes games. I mean, they would probably be the favorites to come out of the Big 12 anyway. And honestly, when Baker Mayfield was at Oklahoma and Mason Rudolph when he was actually not bad at Oklahoma State, they had the chances to play in some big games, especially Mayfield. Of course, he went to the college football playoff a couple times. So I think Manning would have had a chance to play in the CFP no matter what. But obviously, it's bigger now because Texas is going to be joining the SEC, and you're going to see games against LSU, Bama, Georgia. He's going to potentially show them like, hey, this is what you missed when I committed to the school.
Yeah, and I think that Texas probably has a sweet NIL deal lined up for him. I mean,
Oh yeah, that's not even a question.
You got to think about you also got to think about like how many NIL deals that some of these schools in the SEC already committed money to. So it might be one of those things where Texas doesn't have that guy thing there. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely gonna be fun to watch. It's going to be really interesting here because Peyton Manning and Eli Manning were both stationary quarterbacks. They're very good, but they were stationary. Cooper Manning was a wide receiver. So Arch Manning is more of like a modern quarterback. Like he has more mobility. So I wonder though. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see what a mobile Manning quarterback feels like. But also, it does feel like there's been this hole missing last few years of like there hasn't been a Manning in the NFL. Like when how long has it been since a Manning has been in the NFL? few years, 3-4 years.
Since Eli, right? Yeah.
Yeah, since Eli retired. So
I think he retired 2018 or
20,
2019 or something?
2019,
2018. I think it was 2018. Yeah,
because
sorry. I think it was
Daniel
2018.
Jones was drafted, and then Daniel
Yeah.
Jones' second year was the year Eli retired. So probably
Yeah.
yeah. So 2019, yeah. So but it's definitely going to be. It definitely does feel a little missing. Something does feel missing if there isn't a Manning in the NFL. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. It's also going to be pretty interesting to see how well he performs because you definitely have to believe that within 3 years, 4 years actually, he's going to be talked about as a potential top 5, top 10 pick just off name alone. So
Oh
we'll
yeah.
see. Yeah,
And if he has the production to back it up and potentially a Heisman Trophy, we're talking probably number one pick.
yeah. Imagine if the Colts or the Giants are in that position. I mean, you have to believe they would have to strongly consider
Yeah.
the nephew of one of their famous quarterbacks. So we'll move on to that one. The other one is let's move on to Orioles MLB Nationals talk. So, was there anything about the Nationals?
I know 2 games against the Orioles this week. Those were some pretty competitive games. I believe they split them in Camden Yards. The other two, I think, will be coming. I think it's next month, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
there's really not too much to report. I mean, they beat the Texas Rangers last night, but Texas is. I mean, I personally don't think Texas is that good this year.
and they spent like
So
$500 million on 2 players, and they're still not like. No, let's put it in perspective here. Let's put this in perspective here. Texas spent $500 million on Marcus Simeon and Seager, and yet
mhm.
they are only 1.5 games ahead of the Orioles, who did not spend $500 million. Like their biggest offseason addition was Jordan Lyles at $7.5 million. Like it just goes to show you, spending money doesn't exactly help you win anything because that
Yeah, Texas. Yeah, right now they're 33 and 36, 11 games back of the Astros. Oh man, looking at the standings right now for the AL West, it is a joke. Like,
Orioles would be third or fourth. Orioles are close or might
yeah,
be
they would
third.
almost be in second place in that division. I've never seen a more. It's just like the NFC East, to be honest with you. The Astros are just going to walk to the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, Texas, they went out, they signed, right. It was Corey Seager,
Yep,
right at eat. And then
yep.
it was
I mean,
Trevor Simeon, yeah. And
Marcus. I mean,
Marcus, oh yeah, I'm trying to sorry, yeah, Marcus Simeon. And they're barely even 500 this year. Now, that was a team that a lot of people talked about them um, being as a playoff team this year, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
probably not. You're probably
I
thinking more
think
of the
we're close
Tigers.
to it.
Yeah, you're probably thinking more of the Tigers because of the pitching.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more with Rangers. It was more like, what are you doing? You're not close enough to be competing to be investing all that money in John Gray and all those other guys. But yeah, like they were definitely expected to be more competitive. I mean, so were the Mariners, and the Mariners have been disappointing this year as well, and the
Oh
Tigers have
yeah.
been disappointing this year as well. So it kind of goes back to the point. And then there's also the Aaron
We got,
Judge.
but then the Nats did get you saw this earlier in the week. They got hosed by that call against the
Yeah,
Phillies. You can even vouch for that. That should have been an out. That was clear interference when he was trying to field the ball. Um, that cost him the game at the end of the day. Just a really unfortunate outcome to say the least.
yeah, and then you also got to figure with Nationals is who's getting traded. Like, what's the Josh Bell trade market looking like? What's
Yeah,
Cruz?
him, Nelson Cruz, I would have to think is probably on his way out too.
I don't think there's any relievers. Maybe Carl.
Yeah, there's not really too many. I don't think there's really no one else that's probably has a lot of value like those two. They can probably get decent returns.
And obviously, there's one
For,
guy that can get a massive return, but yeah, they're not going to trade that guy. So yeah,
yeah, no,
right. And then before you get to the Orioles side, we do have Aaron Judge, agreeing to a 1 year, $19 million deal
I
with
think so.
with incentives. Look, we all thought, what is he doing, turning down that deal from the Yankees? We are idiots because he's going to be earning a massive contract. He's probably getting 10 years, 350 at least, and
Yes.
especially with the NL getting the DH, and he's going to be earning his money, and I think that it's going to be pretty interesting. Do you think the Yankees keep him, or like, and if he doesn't go to the Yankees, where do you think he goes?
I do think the Yankees will keep him. A player like that should not walk at all. I don't care what team it is. Yeah, that's your best player. I know it's that those contract discussions have been hard, but I do think they find a way to keep him. It was funny, he had the walk-off hit the day before the arbitration case.
Yeah,
I think John Heyman tweeted that out, and they did. Of course, they did end up settling, but that's only for next year, right, Adi?
it's for this year, only for this year.
Okay, so then they're gonna have to do that again
He's a
probably
free
next
agent
year.
after this year. He's a free agent.
Okay,
So yeah,
I do think they'll probably try to figure something out. I really don't think he walks. I don't think this is going to be, um, a situation where one of the best players in the league hits the free agent market. If he does, though, I could see a lot of teams going after him. Even a team like Texas, perhaps, because no one really knows what they're doing. Seattle, I think, can make a play for them.
Giants.
I think, yeah,
Giants.
the
Yeah.
Giants. I think obviously the Dodgers, because they can do what they want. I think the Braves could look to go after him because they're still in contention.
What if he went to the
Um,
Rockies? Like, what if they just went more screw it? We'll give him 10 years, $450 million. Like, what if he went to the Rockies? Imagine Aaron
him,
Judge,
him, him at
Coors
Coors
Field.
Field.
Imagine him at Coors Field.
Dinger after dinger after dinger is what I imagine with that.
Yeah,
That would be a lot of fun, to be honest with you.
yeah.
But there'll be a handful of teams that go after him. I think for that contract, you're probably looking at what it 400 plus million at least.
If it's 9
Um,
years, I'll say 9 years, about
450.
375, 9 years. That's about 40. That's slightly over 40 million a year.
Hmm.
Or yes,
I
I
think
think.
I think if it's if it's 10, you're looking at 400 to 425.
Yeah,
Um, I think the Yankees will find a way to keep him though.
yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I think that's gonna be. It's gonna be sure. We'll see what the Yankees do keep him. I mean, we do see the Yankees are a little more cheaper these days. They will. So I want. So, I think the Yankees have a good chance of keeping him. It's just if he insists on 9 to 10 years, kind of like what Machado was doing, kind of like what Harper was doing when he was entering free agency, then I could see them backing out of that. But
Mhm.
if he's willing to take 7, 8 years, I think they'll keep him. I think
Yeah.
now obviously what I don't want for his sake, I don't. It's just he should not sign a long term deal with the Angels. The Angels should not sign a long term deal with anyone because they signed Josh Hamilton, failed. They signed Albert Pujols, failed. The Rendon contract looks bad. The C.J. Wilson contract was nothing. Mike Trout started having a bit of an injury history after he signed that contract. The Angels should
And,
not sign anyone.
Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, I mentioned that was the third one. That was the third name I
Yeah, yeah,
mentioned.
yeah.
But
Just
yeah,
he's been banged up every year ever since
20
he left
home runs in
Washington.
3 years total.
How many you said?
20.
Jeez. And he was a relatively healthy player when he was with the Nationals. Just to see him, fall off the face of the earth is really sad, to be honest.
Yeah, and then you have to
That,
DH. Like, at least he can DH, but the problem is, yeah, at least he can DH, but the problem is, are you really willing to pay that much money for a guy who's more than likely going to have to be a DH if you want to keep him healthy? And that's the issue that you have. So, I mean, I just don't. And then also they have no pitching. Like, the Angels have no idea what they're doing. Shohei Ohtani's going to walk at some point. He's not going to win. He's not going to win much. Don't be
oh my
surprised.
God, imagine.
Trout's going to demand a trade in a few years. It's just what they're doing is ridiculous, and they shouldn't be in this position when you have Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout in the same lineup. Like, you can't. You have two of the best players, two of the players that are more likely to face the baseball, and this is a guard. This team is no idea what they're doing. But let's just talk a little bit about the Orioles. I mean, the Orioles have been really surprising. They're 33-39. They're in American League East. By the way, if you're going to tell me Grayson Rodriguez has a grade two right lat strain, he's not going to make his debut this year. DL Hall is not up yet. John Means makes 2 starts and then has Tommy John. And the Orioles are going to play an American League East schedule, and they're going to be 33-39. I'll be like, I'm signing myself up for that because that is incredible. And they're right now 6 games behind the team. I think it's like Tampa or Minnesota for the third wild card spot. And by the way, it's June. It's about June, July, so we're close to the All-Star break. They are this close. Like they're close to the wild card spot, far closer than I thought.
Probably won't happen, but it's still cool.
No, it will absolutely not happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it will happen or not. What I'm saying is, based off previous expectations, I did not think we would be this close. And like the goal for me is if they can get to 70 wins, great. Because you don't go from 52 to 85 to 85 to 90 wins in a single season. There has to be a season where you get to 70, and I think this is a season where they get to 70. And this team is just incredibly underrated. It's like if I had to describe it, it's like a youth movement. So, and then also you look at the last few games. I mean, they're pitching put it for perspective here. I texted you this yesterday. So they one hit the Chicago White Sox, and they started your good old friend Austin Voss. He went 3 innings, one run, 1 hit, 2 walks. So
Okay.
I wonder how national fans would feel if the Orioles actually can fix Austin Voss and he can actually
I mean, not gonna lie, it would be kind of funny because he was absolutely dreadful when he was here.
Yeah, so he went 3 innings. Crable went about 2 1/3. Brian Baker went 1 2/3. Cionel Perez and Jorge Lopez, who by the way has a 0.75 ERA. And by the way, Jorge Lopez right now, identical stats to when Zach Britton was in 2016. You remember the year where Zach Britton gave up like 4 runs all year?
Yeah.
Jorge Lopez right now has close to identical stats. He's on that same pace as Zach Britton.
And you can probably get a decent haul from him at the deadline.
I don't think they'll trade. No, they're not going to trade Jorge Lopez because the point I brought up how like you have to get to you got to get to that 70 win range before you get to the 85 to 90 win. I think they treat because here's the thing. Zach Britton, when they traded him, the Orioles were on the downside of that time when they were contending. With Jorge Lopez, they're on the upside of it. So I think they'll keep him around. Now, Cionel Perez or Dylan Tate or one of those guys might get traded, but I think they'll keep probably Cionel Perez, but they'll keep Jorge Lopez because it's harder to replace him, and he's not a free agent for another 2 years. So this guy is definitely a piece of the future for him. But you look at this team, like Adley Rutschman, his outs have been loud. He's had like 11 or 12 extra base, like most of his hits, like over 50-60% of his hits are like extra base hits. He hit a moonshot. In Chicago, and that was like home runs at about 108, 109 mile per hour exit velocity. And even when he's getting out, he's like lining them like it's like 105 mile per hour exit velocity right at someone. So even when he's getting out, like he's showing why he was picked number 1 overall. So like it is scary how incomplete this team is, and yet they are still competing. They moved from Pesky to look. We might not be good, but we're not horrendously bad. We're now in bad. Like we're they were at the beginning. People thought they were horrendously bad. Then they were bad. Now they're going from bad, and if they continue playing this well, they're going to be at average. So you got to take those steps forward. If this is an average team, it's an improvement over last year. So I mean, and then Austin Hayes, man, this kid is just downright incredible. He hits per cycle. In that last game against Washington, he threw, and then I think he had 6 or 7 defensive assists, including one where from right field against the White Sox, he threw a 97 mile per hour missile to nail someone at home.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna try to bring it up, but like this is the guy that, by the way, he is 19th in All-Star voting. 19th, and then you look at his numbers. Yeah, Joey Gallo has more votes than this guy than he does. Like,
Oh man.
I just don't understand the All-Star voting thing. And then
Oh,
also,
did you see earlier this week with the it was the Rangers game against the White Sox? The oh no, it was the Blue Jays. Excuse me, I think against Chicago, and the Blue Jays hitting coach got thrown out of the game
oh
before
yeah,
the first pitch was thrown because the umpires were so terrible that day before.
yeah, it was
That
like
was
29. You missed like
hilarious.
29 calls or something like that.
Yes, that's what it was. It was so funny, man.
Yeah, and then also I think Trey could get traded, and I also think that what is it? What's the guy's name? Santander could get traded as well.
I
So
think so, yeah.
yeah, so we're going to go from there to I'm gonna try to find the throw highlight of the throw. Let's like talk about the NHL hockey playoffs. Can you recap so far? Can the
So
in the
yeah. I mean, Colorado's up 3-2 on Tampa Bay. They had a chance to end it last night, but Lightning just have 9 lives. It was 2-2 late in the third period. Looked like it was going to go to overtime. And Andre Palat, who has killed every team he's faced during these playoffs, was the hero again for Tampa Bay. He's going to make a lot of money this offseason. He's a free agent, one of the last of the triplets line that they had way back when. Some team is going to give him money that he won't be able to get in Tampa just because the Lightning has some salary cap problems. Vasilevsky was Vasilevsky in net. And now the pressure's back on Colorado. They now have to go back to Tampa. This is going to be the last game in Tampa Bay for the season. And if Tampa Bay wins that game, you have a winner take all game 7 with everything on the line. I think the Avalanche have been the better team in this series. They've outskated them to death. Special teams wise, Colorado's played fine. But Vasilevsky's kept them in a lot of these games, and Colorado's goaltender Darcy Kemper has not been that good, especially in Game 5. I think 2 of the 3 goals he gave up should have been saves, and who knows what happens if he is able to save the first and the third goal. But he needs to have the game of his life if he is going to if the Avalanche are going to win the Stanley Cup on Sunday. They have the chance here. I mean, the chance of a lifetime, especially when you can slay the dragon that are the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, I almost compare this to blowing up the Death Star because the Lightning have been the empire for the last two
they need to
years at
find
this
that one
point.
hole. They just need to find that one hole.
Yeah, and they were approaching it last night. They missed it the first time. They're going to have another shot at it, like Luke Skywalker did on Sunday night, going back to Tampa Bay. So it's been a lot of fun to watch these two teams go at it. I mean, this is the future of the sport. Two very high-paced, highly skilled teams leaving it all on the ice, and it's been a lot of fun. Game 6 is tomorrow night, 8 o'clock start time, and if there's a Game 7, that'll be Tuesday night at the same time.
Yeah. So okay. So I found the play. I found the play here. So let me just. All right. So
Oh, there it is. Let's see it. Okay, that looks like a heck of a throw. Oh wow, yeah, that throw beat him by a mile. That was a very nice throw. You still there? Or did you mute yourself?
yep.
There you go. I thought you muted yourself for a
No,
sec.
no. No. I wanted to see the have it so you could hear it. But no, like that's But like that's what he's been doing all year. Like that type of throw. Like he like if and then there was like the throw he had against what was the Nationals where Soto tried to go from first to third, and then Austin Hayes was in center field, and he throws out Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost comical. It's like at this point it should honestly be that don't like if Austin Hayes has the ball, like don't even try it. Like don't even try it. So then I'm gonna bring up share another thing here. So for those who don't know, um so every Wednesday you have uh Chris Mad Dog Russo's on First Take with Stephen A. Smith. Don't really watch it too much, but this caught my eye. So he listed the best 5 sports fan bases by city. Let me just see if I could just bring that up there. No, actually, shoot, there we go. Do you see it now?
Let's see it. Yeah, I
So
do. Let's see. Mad Dogs A list, Cleveland. All right. I mean, I'm not even gonna look at the rest of that garbage.
So
I see the top option and I dip out. That's not for me.
so here's my first thought. I don't like Boston sports. I don't. Where's Boston? How come Boston's not 1 or 2 or 3 on that list?
Cleveland. They have the Browns and the Guardians.
And
What?
Cavaliers occasionally.
Detroit, I mean, the Lions, I guess, are faithful. The Red Wings are their fans are great, but I mean, does anyone go to Tigers games? New York, I mean, they're just a bunch of snobs up there. But I mean, Jets fans are ruthless. Rangers fans are annoying. Islanders fans are terrible up on Long Island. Chicago, I can give you. I think that's fine. I think Chicago fans are pretty faithful. Philadelphia, for as annoying and awful as a lot of them are, I mean, I can maybe see that. But, I don't know where Boston is. Where's Pittsburgh? I mean, if you don't have Pittsburgh in your top five, I think that's ridiculous, especially when it comes to the Penguins selling out every game for 16 years. The Steelers sell out every freaking game at Heinz Field. They're one of the best fan bases in all
And
of
Pirates
sports.
fans still have hope.
That they do. That they do. And, Pirates fans are actually watching the games CRD because of O'Neal Cruz. He's actually been very good since coming up.
Yep. And that's that was the other big story I forgot to mention, which was
Yeah,
him having
he's been
our guys
awesome.
3 games. Yeah. But I mean, I would say that Toronto kind of cheating a little bit because it is more of a nation supporting team, but they definitely do support the Raptors and the Blue Jays. And then if they can support the Maple Leafs all this time, they're a good fan base. So Toronto, I would put up there. I think Pittsburgh's underrated. Cleveland, I don't get Cleveland. It's like there's hope and then there's delusion, and I think Cleveland kind of lives in that um, borderline delusion element, and I don't think that makes
Yes.
for a good fan base. Detroit's underrated because they haven't had success for so long, but at the same time, they need to. They're one of these they're cities that fans are still loyal, and so New York. I mean, the only issue I have is when you have places like New York or California that has like multiple teams and in multiple sports. It's hard in that fan to determine how good of a fan base they are compared to a team like place like Baltimore or Pittsburgh where it's more centralized. So but so like it's um, definitely an interesting list. You could definitely tell it was for clicks and stuff like that, but I like sometimes people that list could be improved. So we talked and I think we'll end the show there. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Oh no
I'm
no
trying to.
there.
Oh,
there
I will say, the Steelers signed Larry. Jesus. Ogunjobi. I almost botched that name. Great Stephon Tuitt replacement. Just talk about that real quick. 1 year, 8 million in incentives for total for the deal. That's a slam dunk. You can put him on the defensive line with Cam Hayward and Tyson Alualu. You have T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith rushing in from the side. Miles Jack and Devin Bush behind them. I mean, that front seven is one of the best front sevens in the league. You have a really good secondary for the most part. The cornerback is probably still their biggest weakness, but I don't think anyone can tell me right now that there are 5 defenses better than this one. The talent that they have just trumps a lot of other teams, especially with the All Pros that they have, and um, I'm really excited for that signing. Obviously, I would rather have Stephon Tuitt, but I think Ogunjobi is a good replacement for him. And it's funny, this is the third AFC North
Yeah,
team he
I
has
was
played
about to
for
bring it
since he
up. I was
came
about
in.
to bring it up. I was about to
Is
bring it
is
up.
he going to go to the Is he going to go to the Ravens next year?
Yeah, I was about to bring it up. I was like, it's a 1 year deal, so I'm expecting him to go to the Ravens and being a defensive line rotational piece because yeah, he was with the Browns,
Yeah,
Bengals, he's now with the Steelers, he's now with the Ravens. Like it's like with Steve Pierce. I think it was like Steve Pierce a while back. This is a while back in baseball. He was on the Orioles. He was on the Red Sox. He was on the Yankees. He was on the Blue Jays. I don't remember if he was on the Rays or I think he was on the Rays as well. He might have been a guy that was actually played for all 5 teams in the American League East. But no, like that's definitely a good signing. It's definitely a good depth piece. Like if Ogunjobi is the 4th person you have to worry about on that defensive line, which he most likely is, 3rd or 4th person, then that's a good defensive line right there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they Ravens didn't really sign anyone too much. So they and then I think but then also Lamar, and the only thing with the Ravens was with Lamar, it was he is having discussions. He's having conversations about his contract, and then he
Yeah.
basically, yeah, and then and it was something like he's having conversations, and then he was asked like 20 different questions, and every answer was, "We're having conversations. I don't know. We're having and then still you had the people saying, "Oh, Lamar might hold out of training camp because he was asked that question, would you play in training camp without a new contract? I don't know." And it's like, no, no, no. Like, he's going to play in training camp. By the way, he's at Florida. He's in Florida right now with the wide receivers and tight ends, and they're going with Willie Taggart kind of hosting them, and they're working on chemistry stuff. So if he's doing that, he's definitely showing up for training camp. But it's like
Yeah.
last straws. Like what? Like, are you really going to say, oh, he could like his future in Baltimore? Isn't that like no? His future is like he's just sick and freaking tired of people asking him about his contracts. Now he's just saying, look, at this point, I'm just going to say the same answer over and over and over again. I don't care what you have to say. If like that's so it was pretty funny on that end. And then the last one, Warriors win the NBA championship. So Steph Curry wins his first NBA Finals MVP. What are your thoughts on the Warriors, Steph Curry, all that other stuff?
I mean, Steph Curry is probably a top 5, top 10 player to ever play the game. That's literally the last thing he needed was a Finals MVP, and I'm not surprised the Warriors won because this is what they do. They were bad for a couple of years. They had some injury problems. Now they're fully healthy, and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson did their thing. So I was really not surprised in the slightest. That was a fun series to watch, and to end it all, Adam Schefter did just tweet this. Deshaun Watson's NFL hearing is set to begin on Tuesday. And I'm pretty sure, according to Aaron Wilson, the NFLPA is bracing for a potential year-long plus suspension for him. So if that happens, have fun with that $230 million.
Yep. But yeah, no, I think from yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
yeah, so what I was saying is, yeah, like Steph Curry to me is a top 10 player. Like this Finals MVP kind of certified it for me. And I think I think one of the only reasons why I wouldn't put him in top 5 yet is only because he's now playing in an era where they're shooting a bunch of 3-pointers. So yeah, he is changing the way people play it, but it's also the game plan is now versus back then when you have like the JJ Redicks and the Kyle Korvers, the Ray Allens of the world. They 3-pointers weren't involved as much as they are right now. Well, and look, let's be honest here. There's a lot of people that aren't great shooting 3-pointers that are still trying to do it, and that kind of shows you how transcendent of a player Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are. That other players who can't do what they're doing are doing the same thing. So I think it's definitely great for him. The Warriors are set up long term. They have a couple of extensions they can do. They're not afraid to go over the luxury tax. I believe they're over 210 million this year. They're not afraid to do that. They have a player I think who was injured. I forgot his name, like a center who was injured. He's more likely he's going to be coming back soon. The Warriors just know how to develop players. They're going to be competing next couple years. If and then also the other thing is this. Who do you think this championship impacted the legacy more? Steph Curry or Steve Kerr? Because Steve Kerr
I
now has
think, yeah.
nine titles as a player and coach.
I think everyone knows that he's probably, one of the best coaches of all time, for sure. But, for Steph, this was the last thing I think he needed to solidify himself as a easy top 10 player of all time. And you can now make the case that he's probably a top 5 player of all time. It's close. It's close.
It's very close to it.
I would say right now he's in that 6 to 8 range, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it impacted Steph a little bit more.
Oh yeah. So and then also I mean all Virginia Tech fans have to ponder it. Like the what if, the giant what if here. What if Seth Greenberg offered him
Ugh.
a scholarship?
Don't even
Yeah,
don't even start it.
yeah, I mean, I don't really get that. So we'll end the show with the talk with the Warriors. We'll be back next week, depending on our schedules, around the time.
Mhm.
And hopefully we'll have more things to talk about, if more topics to talk about. But we'll see you then.
Yeah, we'll see you all next week.